Hi, my name is Chelsea Cat, and welcome back to more Arknights. So for today, we'll be going through stage 5. So let's look at the map. We have a red box, we have one blue box, there's an air unit, and it is a linear path. So this is going to be easy. So let's get started. Okay, something has changed here. So normally, I would have already deployed Yato immediately. But because this stage started with a much lower deployment points as usual, so I think this is the time where I talk about vanguards. So vanguards are specifically meant to be a starters within the team. So their objective, vanguard's main objective, is to stall for time, to become as an early defense, and to help you gain the deployment points. So the main strategy is that you deploy vanguards at the very beginning while you're trying to stall for more time so that you gain enough deployment points to swap them out for stronger units. That's what vanguards are. But Yato, since she is a 2-star unit, she has I would say, the bare minimum of having a low cost. So she can't generate DP, but she does have, let's see, fast redeployment time minus 30 seconds. That's not useful here, but that's okay. We're just gonna use her regardless. And speed up. Now, deployment points are something to be considered in the stage because you can use whatever units that you want. If you use a much higher rarity units, like 5 stars and 6 stars, most likely you have to spend much more deployment points to deploy them. So there's a balance between having a low rarity and high rarity. And that is the aero drones. Okay, Yato, come on. My Yato is dealing. Oh, all right. Yato's gonna win. I think Yato hits twice. Let's go. All right, Yato, you did it. Mission accomplished. That was all right. Okay. Um, I myself talk about units a little bit more. So I have to say that all of my 2 stars are maxed out. So these are her main stats like attacks and defense. However, if you look at her trust, it says that she has additional plus 30 attack. So this happens when you have a unit's trust up to 100%, at least 100%. So there's some stats there, and if you look at her potential, I have her on max potential with a DP cost -1, redeployment time -5 seconds, attack +9, attack +9, DP cost -1. So the numbers are tiny. However, that was exactly just enough for Yato to survive and to defeat the soldiers just in time. So sometimes these are things to consider. If you fail, you have to think. Maybe you just were lacking that little bit of number. So, anyways, that's 2 stars. Let's just look at the map on stage 6. 2 red boxes, 2 blue boxes, 1 aerial unit, and this time this is not a linear path. Well, at least there's 2 linear paths per se. So just in case, I might as well talk about team composition this time, because until now I only bring 5 units, but in truth I could have bought all 12 plus a support unit if you have friends. Now for now, I want to talk about who you should bring. Now, since, as I mentioned before, a stage is basically a trial and error, you do not know what is expected from the stage, so all you can do is to survive as long as you can to get as much information as you can about the stage. So I would generally say bring a balanced team, where I usually bring another vanguard, another guard, another defender, another sniper, another caster, another healer. Now I could bring a supporter and a specialist, but instead I just want to talk about another units that is not talked about, and they are the robots. The robots are 1-star units. People rarely use them, and that's fine because their stats are low. However, robots do have a special trait. Both Castle Tree, Confess 47, Lancet 2, if you look at the traits, they have the stats of ignoring the deployment limit. So what that means is that even though if the stage were to say you have a unit limit of 8, you can actually bring 8 units at once, plus all the robots that you brought. So you can summon all 3 robots if you want. So I would say that always have a balance between your stats and do what you do best. And I like to bring them because they generally just act as additional bodies to block for anything if something were to happen. So let's just start stage 6. Deployment 8. Things does change. You can add that to the list of what the game does not tell you, especially when it comes to the deployment points. Right, Yato, beginnings, block. I am not going to put up Fang. I know that her deployment points are much lower, but generally I would like to play the 2-star first, just for me to assess what the stage is about. I will leave the other units for another time. So I'm just going to block. You're free to do however you want. You do not have to follow what I do. This is not a walkthrough per se. This is just a tutorial to talk how I play this game, the way how I think, and these are the advice that I tell myself whenever I play the stage. I won't say that I'm a professional Arknights player, but I did play for a fairly long time, and I used to beat all the stages with only 4 stars. So I would say that this is just a habit of mine, a long habit, and it's probably my favorite way of playing the game. Anyways, the drones are here, so let's just block that. Nope. This is a puzzle game. There's no reason to judge each other of how personally play. Everyone's playstyle is different. You're free to do whatever you want. Treat it as a puzzle game. Do not rush. As much as this is a gacha game, try not to get addicted. Do not get consumed by the gacha elements in this. Do not rush through every event that's trying to, make you play more. It's a gacha game. I would say that try to take control of your life a little bit more. Just have some self-control. Anyways. Yato's dying. Yato's not gonna make it, so I'm not sure why, but I guess maybe something was different between these stages. Cut, retreat, Lancet. Sorry, got Castle Tree. And we're done. Noah, you got this. Mission accomplished. This victory is all yours, Doctor. Thank you, 12F. Another thing, so Yato died while Noir lived, and that's because Noir has higher defense, even though his attack stats was much lower than Yato. In the end, what really matters is actually your defense. I mean, think about it. Your health point is probably the most important thing rather than your attack damage. Just something to think about. Anyways, we got time, so let's just go to stage 7. Let's look at the map. There are 2 red boxes, 1 blue box. This is a linear path, so let's just get started. Yato, cutoff point. Alright, shielded soldiers. So, I think it's about time we talk about defense and arts damage. So, shielded soldiers have much higher defensive abilities. Basically, it has a much higher stat. Yato is a purely physical damage. There are 2 types of damage in this game, physical damage and arts damage. Yato deals physical damage, so I believe Yato is not going to make a dent to that shielded soldier because the defense stats is just high enough to stall, to absorb all of Yato's attack. So defense generally can be seen as a way to stall for time. So same for us, higher defense for us is to block more, but for them, for enemies generally, enemy's highest defense is generally can be seen as a time staller. So you're you are going to see quite soon that when that shooter soldier starts occupying one of Yato's block counts, that means what essentially what that means is that Yato is going to only have one block for a significant amount of time. So more enemy units will pass through Yato if we just keep this going. So this is why you need to bring a caster. So our casters are Durin, they reduce arch damage. So her attack is 370 damage, purely arch damage, and they will cut through the enemy's defenses. So let us just quickly look at how much damage Yato is actually dealing to a shield soldier. Barely. That's there's barely a dent. Anyways, you now see what I mean. So let's just have Durin face down. So Durin's gonna cut. Look at the damage. Durin is gonna kill him in 5 hits. So instead, let's have Nor and block the rest of the slugs. So yeah, as you can see, when that shooter soldiers has blocked one of Yato's block, this game had the audacity to summon 5 more enemy units behind it. So if I kept the game going as it was, all of them will just flow through Yato and then they'll go to the blue box. Even with Norcon, with only 3 blocks, that is not enough. So the game knows what it was. The game knows what it's doing. Okay, I think Yato is not going to make it. Oh, she is. Oh yeah. Alright. Yato, you made it. Of course we won. I worked real hard supporting you with my arts. Thank you, dude. Uh, well, that was stage 7, so I think we learned a lot today. So I'm just going to cut it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.